Do you like comic books, video games, movies, and television? Are you way more interested in fictional superheroes than actual human beings or real life? Do you like listening to people discuss these topics for roughly an hour or two at a time?
Well, if you liked when this asshole did it alone, you're gonna love me.
This is the intro to our podcast, innit? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bat in the Hat podcast, where we dive deep into all things nerd. My name is Holden McNeil, and with me, as always, is Matt. Just Matt. What's up, Matt?
What's up? What's going on? How's your mom? White Claw is law.
Jesus Christ, man.
No. My name is just Matt.
Just okay.
Don't refer to me as the savior of man.
That's Jesus Christ. So let's talk about that. Apparently,
what
the claw is law. How are you feeling about the new White Claw craze?
Oh, I don't know, man. I just like the memes and stuff.
Have you tried a White Claw?
I've tried one, yeah.
Is it okay?
It's not bad. It's like hairspray, but
somebody told me it was pretty refreshing if you're not in the mood for like beer, you know.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like hairspray, but it's refreshing.
Fair enough.
It's like TV static.
Fair enough. Just remember, guys, the claw is in fact the law.
Yeah.
And today on the Bat in the Hat, we have one agenda and one agenda only. Two
White
agendas.
Claws for days.
We're going to talk about the somebody who has been a huge influence on not only my life, but I assume Matt as well. I mean, somebody who is probably my Lord and Savior next to Batman.
Elmo?
Yeah, Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah, the Tickle Me era was just top notch.
Really creepy. No, man, Kevin Smith, who made amazing films such as Clerks, such as Dogma, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, all those really great movies, and have inspired people like me to do what we do, to be writers and be filmmakers and be podcasters. And, you know, it sounds corny, I know, and everybody at home is probably like, ugh, but he's one of a kind, in my opinion. And he has a new movie coming out called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Everybody's excited for it. At least everybody in our kind of circles are excited for it. And I thought that today we would pay homage to the man by kind of talking about our favorite movies of his, our least favorite movies of his, because as we know, he's had a couple stinker-roonies, and just kind of celebrate it. And I don't know, Matt, what do you think? How did you come into like the Kevin Smith-averse, the View Askew-universe?
Before I respond to that directly, you were saying everybody's excited about the reboot.
Right.
And I agree with you. I feel like everybody is, and if you're not, you're purposely being a jerk. I mean, come on. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That was just a funny movie. And we were all in our earlier teens. Yeah. And I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, if you don't like that humor, whatever. But come on. Don't be lame. You like that humor.
So what I always thought was interesting about movies of his, and people may disagree. I know, like, my mom would disagree. It's like dick and fart jokes, right? But it's not the base form of that kind of, like, just baby toilet humor. It's actually funny. There's a lot of wittiness that comes into his writing, and a lot of really just great classic lines, like quotable lines that come from that stuff.
Dude, there are so many, like, I forget how many quotes I use daily from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, they are just some subliminal zingers that they throw out in that movie that are so funny, and they're so quick.
Yeah.
That dialogue is it's so brilliant. But to go full circle here, that was the movie that brought me into the KSU, the Kevin Smith universe, the KSU.
The View Askew universe.
Yeah. So that's the one I saw first. I was in I was probably like somewhere around 16.
Okay,
17.
I was actually 11 when I saw my first Kevin Smith movie, and it was Clerks. And my buddy came over and he said, you got to see this movie, it's hilarious. And I was 11 years old and I didn't understand any of it, but my buddy's older brother loved it. He was like 18 at the time. He loved it. Now, Clerks came out the year I was born. It came out in 94.
Right.
So I saw it when I was 11. My buddy's older brother loved it, and I idolized him. Like, I thought he was the coolest kid in the world, you know? And so I was like, yeah, it's hilarious. And I kind of jumped on this bandwagon trying to impress the older kid.
Didn't even understand it.
Yeah, just trying to like it. But I really didn't understand it. However, I think the next movie I saw was Dogma. And that movie had enough like shit in it. Now I probably was around 13 or 14 when I saw Dogma, but I was old enough to like appreciate the funniness. That was the age, oddly enough, I was like starting to question religion. I grew up in the Baptist church and started questioning religion and like my own beliefs and stuff. And it was a really funny, interesting movie that made you feel guilty at the same time for laughing at. So that was kind of my introduction into all his stuff. And then when I started to get older and really into comic books and really into everything nerd, he was just always there, like at the center of it. Kevin Smith has always been just in this culture. So it was almost impossible not to get roped into being a fan of his, and I absolutely love it.
See, I found out about that Kevin Smith after the fact.
Oh yeah.
To me, Kevin Smith was Silent Bob. And I was like, okay, this guy's funny. He's a character in these series of movies that connect. That was really all I knew. As I got older, I started to get more and more into comics. Started to understand more and more of the culture and the people in it, and realized that he is like a part of the foundation of that community. And I appreciate what he does. I mean, he's got hands in everything. He writes comics, like actual comics. He directs the CW shows from time to time. Like he'll do a few episodes here and there.
The Flash. He's worked. Yeah. I think he hasn't worked on Arrow, but I know he's worked on the Flash and Supergirl at least. But it's funny because I didn't know he was Silent Bob until I didn't know it was him, like who Kevin Smith was, until another buddy of mine in Lake City, Florida, probably when I was like 14, 13. Right around the time I would have seen Dogma, he was like, you got to see, he does these shows, and he had these DVD releases like every year at the time. That was an evening with Kevin Smith, and he did like 9 of them. And basically what he would do is he would go to college campuses and like talk to college kids and answer. It was like always a big Q&A, but he would tell really great stories. So the first time I saw one of the Evening with Kevin Smiths, I was like, holy shit, that's that's Silent Bob. And that's kind of how I figured that out. But yeah, blossomed from there. Always just been a big fan. Loved hearing him talk. I could listen to him tell stories for ever and ever.
When I hear him talk and see him on video and stuff, like I genuinely believe that he is like a good dude. Like I like him. Like he doesn't annoy me or anything like that. I've followed him for a while now. Like, so his journey where he obviously had a lot more weight at one time. And now he's lost it all, so it's kind of crazy it's just funny to watch, and it's just real enjoyable. Like, he named his daughter Harley Quinn, like Harley Quinn Smith. That's incredible.
And I've always made the joke, and it's not really a joke. I have names picked out for boys and girls. Mm-hmm. They're going to be comic book names. There's only one name that I have for a boy that if the person I'm with genuinely is like, I don't want my kid to be named after one of the Robins, which I probably wouldn't marry that person, but Jackson. I've always liked Jackson, like Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy. I really like that name for some reason. But yeah, I always thought that was great. He got like how great of a life where you can just name your daughter Harley Quinn Smith, and she grew up to genuinely be just a huge fan of comic books and works for DC now and is a fan of Harley Quinn, and she totally loves it.
Well, it was funny too. Like, speaking, he seems like a really cool family guy, but like to find out more about him after the fact, like to realize his wife is in almost every movie.
Right.
His daughter, I think the Reboot's the first movie she'll be in, because I know she was in the trailer.
Oh, yeah, she's been in a bunch of them.
Are you sure?
She was baby Silent Bob in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. She was baby Silent Bob. She was the star in Yoga Hosers.
I'm sorry, what was that last thing you just said?
Yoga Hosers?
Bless you.
You haven't seen Yoga Hosers?
No.
It was his movie it was like a sequel, like a semi-sequel to Tusk. She was in Tusk.
I haven't seen any of that.
Oh yeah, those are his later movies, like the stuff from just the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, nope. She's been in a couple of them.
Clerks 2 is the best thing
I love her though. She's absolutely gorgeous. She's very funny, very very cool person. I love following her Instagram. She's very very heavily vegan, which is how she got her father after his heart attack, got him into the vegan area. But before we get too far into the Kevin Smith stuff, because really I do want to talk more about it. yeah, I guess it's about to storm outside.
Was that thunder? Every time that happens, I'm like, is this the one? Like somebody dropped a bomb.
I was gonna say, is that thunder or are they attacking?
Like I always wonder if this is the
Korea's
one.
got us. But I just want to kind of go over the news because we do have some news. I don't want to spend too long on it because it could, like, I could talk about this for an hour. But basically, huge news has come out in the last couple weeks. By the way, welcome back, Matt. It's been like 3 weeks since we've done the show. And I think the last episode that you were on was like 5 weeks ago because it was Tony the last time. So
yeah, Tony was here when I was here last. We had a
we did
menage a trois.
Yeah, we did an episode after that. Remember?
We did.
Him? Yeah.
No. I'm saying the last time I was here. Right. I know that he was here.
Oh,
right,
me. Right.
Thinking you can live without me. I love Halsey.
Big Halsey fan.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. I won't mention the fact that I was here earlier in the week and we had equipment failure, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's
not worth bringing up.
That was my bad. We couldn't.
No, it wasn't anybody's fault.
I had some performance issues. It's natural at this age, but
this never happens.
I swear this never happens.
I swear this never happens.
But we did get a lot out. We still did work while we were together.
Yes, we did. And that we will not disclose.
Yeah, it's
one day.
We got something we're working on for everybody, and it's gonna
a little bit of a passion project.
It's kind of what's the confidential right now, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I get
you guys will not
be thinking about it.
Will not be disappointed, but. Either way, man, it's great to have you back. It's really great to do this. I get excited every time we get to do the show, and when it's a couple weeks off just because of life and stuff, like I get antsy. So I'm glad to be sitting here, glad to be recording.
We're developing a beautiful friendship outside of the show, and he's very important to me.
What's fucked up is I text you more than I text like anybody. I think that
listen. I say this all the time. I'm amazing. And more people should understand that.
Absolutely.
I have a lot to give, a lot of love to give, a lot of mean feedback to give. Some people need that.
The thing is that your mean feedback is never true because
it's usually because I care for that person very much.
He'll
so
turn
I try
around.
To hurt them
he doesn't like to be nice, so he'll hold back tears and be like, "You fucking suck, man."
It's like a defense mechanism, you know.
So are you really excited for this Crisis event going on with the Arrowverse?
No, not at all.
Really?
I'm sure it's really cool. I'm excited about the concept. I couldn't care less about watching it. I'm not going to watch it. I haven't watched any of these shows for years.
So I'm pretty excited. I'm only caught up on the last season of Arrow. Or I'm sorry, no, Flash. I'm not caught up on Arrow because it just does not interest me anymore. But I am caught up on the Flash, and I just think it's really interesting what they're doing as far as all the cameos, because probably the biggest event, I don't want to say that because everybody has their own benchmark for this, but one of the biggest events in comic book history was Crisis on Infinite Earths for DC.
I know of a big one that will happen in the future, but I can't talk about it.
It is a huge event. It's when the concept of the multiverse really became a thing. So to see what they're doing now in the show is really interesting, and we're going to talk about that because what it basically is they have gotten a truly all-star cast of cameos to come in and play parts. And even the ones that are still just technically rumored, but are all but confirmed, I mean, blow you away.
Based on history, I would say anything that's rumored is true.
Well, it's not so much that, but there are certain sources that we get rumors from that, because they continue to churn out correct information, they become trusted sources. Yeah. So here's the confirmed list of cameos right now. That's exciting. Kevin Conroy is coming in to play an old Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He will play the Batman Beyond style Bruce Wayne. A lot of people so many people come to me at the shop and say, "Did you hear that they're doing Batman Beyond?" They're not. They're going to have an older Bruce Wayne. It could lead to the possibility of like a Batman Beyond style thing, but they're not doing Batman Beyond.
Yeah, if they introduced Terry McGinnis into that, I would go back and watch it.
I'd freak out. What's interesting though is apparently we are getting at least 2 other Batmen. So we will have a Batman. We will have multiple Supermen. We will have. This is just a rumor, but they are rumored that the actor who I can't remember his name, but the actor who plays John Diggle, he will be playing Jon Stewart from another multiverse.
That's awesome because I know a lot of fans wanted that.
Well, they had that episode where the Flash from the 90s, so they brought the 90s Flash into continuity because in the last season he came from his dimension. You saw the the Monitor standing over all their dead bodies, and then the Flash ran and he came from his dimension. He said, "I'm Barry Allen." Of course, it's John Wesley Shipp, so the Barry from the show was who
plays Jay Garrick, also,
right? Who plays Jay Garrick and Barry's father,
right?
And Barry
and
goes,
now Flash.
Barry looks at him and says, "Jay," and he says, "Jay, I'm Barry Allen," and he looks at Diggle and he says, "John, you're not wearing your ring," and everybody freaked out.
Wow.
So, really cool shit. So he is rumored to be playing Green Lantern. Cress Williams, who plays Black Lightning in the standalone show, is going to be joining the Arrowverse. He is going to be showing up with his daughters, which is cool. Like I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't caught up to it, but I remember me and my sister both watched the first season of Black Lightning together, and actually really enjoyed it. Really good stuff. Burt Ward is going to be making a cameo. He is still unknown as to what he will be, but
Robin.
Yeah, Burt Ward from 66, Batman. Yeah. Brandon Routh, of course, is going to play Kingdom Come Superman.
That's probably the coolest one to me.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
Kingdom Come is probably my second favorite story ever written, and it is very near and dear to me, so I'm nervous as well. But I think it's really cool that they're doing that. Of course, Tyler Hoechlin will still play Superman. Tyler Hoechlin is who plays Superman in it currently. Tom Welling is now confirmed to be making a cameo, possibly as another version of Superman from Smallville. They're also actively going after the rest of the Smallville cast to reprise their roles as Lex Luthor and Lana Lang.
When is this showing? Like, when is the event take place?
December.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
That's when it starts. And then the last 2 episodes, so the break is right in the middle of it. So they're going to do 3 episodes. So it's spread across 5 shows. They're going to do 3 episodes. And then the last 2 are going to be after a 2-week break, so in January.
And then Arrow ends after this season.
So the idea is, I don't know if Arrow is so much ending as he is ending. Or I don't know.
Well, they said the show's over.
They keep making these weird statements saying we have no plan on stopping these shows and blah, blah, blah. Arrow is confirmed to be in its final season. Right. Yes, I don't want to spread false information with my thoughts. Arrow is confirmed to be in its final season. It will live on somehow.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but simply put, the show Arrow currently is its
which
final
who knows, they could at the end of the Crisis Events announce it's Arrow : now it's a new show.
Well, that's a easy opportunity for them to pop somebody out that has the goatee and like the traditional Green Arrow look that they wanted Stephen Amell to have forever, like with the long. I mean, there you
go. So yeah, again, possibly we have Tom Welling as coming back as Superman. Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor, and I don't remember her name, but who played Lana Lang in Smallville, who I'm all in favor for all of that. Yeah, I love Smallville so much.
I never actually sat and watched Smallville. I've just always heard how good it is.
You know what's weird is I don't think I've seen all 9 seasons. I know I've seen a good majority. I probably have seen all of it.
Everybody I know that's watched it, they love it.
I've never sat through and watched binge watched 9 seasons. However, it still is that show that puts you in such great early 2000s like vibes, like that. You know what I mean? Like when you listen to an Offspring album, and you just like really.
What's wild to me is the way you just put that. Right. That's how Supernatural makes me feel, but it's still going.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it was around when that stuff happened.
And then Supernatural got announced that it was ending, and now they just said they might bring it back, or they might continue it.
They need to let it end.
They need to let it die.
I think those guys are ready to move on also.
Now you got to wonder if they can, They've been doing this for like 15, 16 years.
Look, hey, I'm just gonna say it. Those are 2 very good-looking men.
Yeah,
and they're very good actors. So I'm sure
for
sure.
Like I don't want to say anything because I love what was his name who played Jason Todd?
Jensen
Ackles.
Yeah, Jared Padalecki.
I love him.
I actually like
Padalecki. Yeah,
there was some fan that made a thing. There was like, why don't you let Jensen play Jason Todd and why don't you let Jared
Padalecki
play
be
Dick Grayson?
Nightwing.
Yeah. I was like, dude, that's amazing.
That hairline won't allow him to be Nightwing.
He'd have to be like a longer hair Nightwing. Yeah, because he does. He has cool hair.
Yeah, but now he has the forehead of 1,000 wraths.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyways, Linda Carter. Linda Carter, who has already been playing the president in Supergirl. she might reprise her role as Wonder Woman from the original Wonder Woman. She was Wonder Woman back in the 70s.
She's the
OG. So she may probably from the same dimension that, or the same, same dimension or timeline as the Flash, the 90s Flash, and the Green Lantern. So whatever we see there. And then, of course, along with Kevin Conroy, big rumors that Mark Hamill will actually be playing the Joker live action, akin to his what you know what I'm saying? Batman. Did you just mute your microphone?
Huh? Yeah. No.
Oh, I was about to say what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, this is gonna make me sound crazy. I'm not huge about Mark Hamill playing the Joker live.
I am. He played the trickster, and he was so creepy and spectacular.
Listen, he's a fantastic actor in those roles. I just think he's gonna look silly, like if he's the Joker.
I don't care.
They'll probably be smart about it. So
at this point, it's all fan service, and I can admit that it's all fan service for me now. That I just want it.
It's awesome. I think it's a really cool thing what they're doing. They've done these crossover events before, but it's never been on this kind of level where they're like, let's get everybody we can get.
And I don't know if you heard about this, but they're planning on doing, or there's talks, again, it might just even be rumors, but there's talks about, because they introed Lois Lane into the show, like she's a recurring character in Supergirl, who I love. I think she's great, actually. The few episodes I saw, I thought she really fit the role. They're now planning on, kind of like the Dean Cain show, they're going to do a spin-off in the Arrowverse where it's Superman Lois Lane centered show, which I think
guys that played it in Supergirl.
Yeah, same people. Cool. So they're going to have their own series now, which I actually dig because I loved the Terry Hatcher, Dean Cain.
It's crazy how good of a story they have, Lois and Clark. And that's what the show was called, Lois and Clark.
Well, and the thing is, and I always make jokes about it because Lois in the comics back in the day, it was always Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. Like that was the name of her comic book, Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. And she was always written to be such a, like, I'm obsessed with Superman and all I want is him as my husband and I'll get into any ditzy, stupid situation. And it was so poorly done. And in recent years, they've really beefed her up to be kind of a badass. And there was a time in the 90s where she was, in my opinion, very insufferable. I didn't like how she was written. I thought it was very, I don't know. You know what? I couldn't even explain it. But I just know in the last couple years, their dynamic, especially in the current like Bendis stuff in Superman, is fantastic. So I would be interested in seeing this show. I really liked Lois and Clark, the new Superman Adventures or whatever it was called, with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. I thought it was great, and I'd be interested in kind of that dynamic again. But also, we got a trailer for Titan Season 2.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing for me right now. I'm so excited.
How'd you feel about Deathstroke?
He looks like Deadshot.
He looks exactly like Deadshot.
I love Deathstroke / Slade Wilson so much.
Right.
And I know that they're most likely going towards a Judas Contract-esque story. I don't care.
So what's interesting, though, is they did get a very similar to that chainmail-esque kind of scaly look that he had in the original costume. They have none of the colors. None of the blues or blacks or oranges or any of that.
I see it as it's also dark when we see him too. So you never know.
Well, again, I'm not saying anything against it. I'm still excited. I just think it's interesting the choice they went with. Maybe it'll flesh out in the show.
I think so.
A lot. You remember how bad the trailer for season 1 was, and everybody didn't want to watch it, and it turned out to be a fantastic show.
That show is incredible.
Yeah,
like I love everything.
Really
about it.
Fantastic show. Aqualad is going to make his appearance.
Yep. Crypto,
Superboy. We're going to get a lot of really cool stuff.
Lana Lang.
They went with white Aqualad. That's interesting. I only say that just because Aqualad has been traditionally black in like the last like 5 or so years.
And that sucks because I like the Young Justice Aqualad where he's
I really like Calder.
Like he's like light skinned.
Yeah.
Is that appropriate to say? I'm not trying to be smart assy, but he's like light skinned black guy.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm white.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's black, but he's a light skinned black guy.
Yeah.
I love that
super compelling character. He's the son of Black Manta. I think it's very interesting shit.
Yeah.
And
that is kind of crappy that they made him white. Then.
And I'm sorry I even mentioned it because there's nothing wrong that they made him white, to be honest. It doesn't matter.
Nah.
I shouldn't have brought it up for people to now text us or message us being like, Like, here's my opinion on the race thing. Like, Ariel can be black. It's fine, kids. I just think that it is.
Wait, what? No, I'm just kidding.
I think that it was just an interesting choice. What I do love is that he's got like a full on goatee, and his hair is so suave looking.
Yeah.
It's funny. His costume, however, looks great.
The two things that really set it off for me in that trailer, and yes, I just jumped in front of you, and I'm sorry. His costume does look fantastic.
No, yeah. Good.
Two things that just nailed the nail on the nail for me.
Right.
Jason Todd going in front of the camera and saying, "We're back, bitches!" Like,
yeah, that was really great.
Incredible because their version
Titans are back, bitches.
Their version of Jason Todd is
but did
hard
you
not
notice
to like.
that Jason Todd was fighting good guys? He was not fighting. If you watch the trailer again, I think Jason Todd is rebelling again.
Well, remember the biggest twist, in my opinion, in the first season
was his episode.
Was when
and he broke that
Raven
cop's
said
neck.
We need to get Jason
Yeah.
or whatever, and you thought she was going to say Dick.
No,
you thought for sure, and then you were like, "Oh no, he's gonna die." They're going that route.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So that's huge. So I think he's gonna play a big part in season 2.
Raven looks great too.
She looks awesome.
Very comic booky.
She was the one I was most skeptical of in the first season.
Right.
That went away after one episode.
Do you think
that girl?
Do you think that Garth is gonna be able to transform into more than just a tiger by the end of this season?
Did you call him Garth?
Garth.
Isn't it Gar?
It's short for Garth.
Garth is already short.
No, his name is Garth.
Oh, I thought it was just Gar.
Well, they call him Gar, sure, but
Understood.
It's Garfield.
So, yes, I think he's going to realize his potential. And I love him, too. He's like the best casting I think I've ever seen.
He's really good.
He's perfect.
Yeah. I think a lot of the show. I can admit I didn't finish Doom Patrol because I just couldn't get into it.
I finished Swamp Thing, and I
still haven't finished that.
absolutely loved it.
I haven't finished Swamp Thing, but that's only because I haven't been able to yet. I will probably do that tonight.
So not only is it such a good show, but the girl that plays, Abby Arcane.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I freaking love her. She played
She's great.
Falcone's daughter in Gotham.
That's who she was. Holy fuck! It's been killing me.
Couldn't remember. Incredible.
She was Falcone's daughter.
She's probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen.
Gorgeous, yeah. But she's phenomenal,
so
like just actress-wise, just her
so
talent.
Good in that show.
She honestly is compelling.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So compelling to watch as Abby Arcane in that show, and it really gripped me from the second episode. I mean, it's a great show.
So I jumped on the bandwagon after watching the show.
Yeah.
Now I'm upset.
You came in at the right time just to like enjoy it because I've been watching it week by week, and then I fell off just because again life got busy.
That's always been my deal. Is I was like I'm gonna wait for the whole thing to finish. And I literally watched it.
And guys, I always remind Matt that we have a podcast, so he probably should stop doing that so we can talk about things.
Doing what?
Waiting to watch things.
Oh yeah.
Until they come out because we got to talk about them.
I'm so sorry. It's a great show.
Anyways, moving on. We got just two more things to talk about real quick. One that I'll go through quick because I know you don't know much about it. Absolute Carnage just started this week. It's the big Marvel event.
I know tons about that.
Centered around Carnage. It's the first issue dropped. It was a mega issue, 62 pages. 64 pages. It was like 3 books in one technically, and it was $7.99. So it was a monster first issue, and holy shit, did they bring the thunder. If you guys aren't aware, I think I've talked about it already on the past episode with Tony, but it's basically Carnage is now trying to unleash the symbiote god, and that god's name is Null. He's locked in the planet Clintar because the planet is actually the symbiotes holding him in prison, basically, because he is an evil, like, devil piece of shit. So Cletus Cassidy is back from the dead. Carnage is trying to kill every single person who had ever worn the symbiote, because the symbiote leaves data on your DNA called the Codex, and if he can collect all the pieces of the Codex, he can basically give enough power to the god Null to break free. It's really dark, really gritty, really disgusting, awesome shit. It's a bunch of Venom, bunch of Spider-Man, bunch of every other character that you're gonna love. I just wanted to talk about that real quick because it really blew my mind. House of X, Powers of X is the X-Men thing going on right now, which is also really fantastic. So if you guys are looking to get into stuff or looking to get into comics at all, there's some really great number ones, like starts of series that you can jump in and not feel bad about, because nobody knows what the fuck is going on, so you're not alone. So, really cool shit. And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about is, Matt, how did you like The Boys on Amazon Prime?
Finished it in one day.
Yeah.
Was so excited. Huge Carl Urban fan. Huge Tony Starr fan, who plays Homelander. I've been Anthony Starr is his name.
I don't know who he is. So tell me about him. Who is he?
So did you ever see the show Banshee?
No,
it was
I
a
haven't.
Cinemax show.
No.
You ever heard of it?
No.
Amazing.
Really?
One of the best series I've ever seen. Lasted like 5 seasons. Very, very short. The premise is he's a con man, right?
Right.
And, something goes wrong and he ends up in this small town and, one thing leads to another. The sheriff of the town dies in this bar that he's in. And he literally just pretends to be the sheriff.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, yeah, are you the new sheriff? And he's like, yep.
That reminds me of that. Have you seen that show at all, Sneaky Pete?
No, I was going to watch it recently.
My dad watches that show, and I've watched a couple episodes. It's actually really good. Those shows where like you really want to watch it, but you feel like you have so much like media that you're intaking, you can't take on another show or another thing.
Yeah, I realize that I can't watch anything because I'm too busy rewatching Altered Carbon. I just finished it for the 3rd time.
So that's the thing, is that I have like part of my memory. I always think of my head as like a memory card, and part of that memory is always taken up by the fact that something that I'm doing at any given time is rewatching something.
Yeah.
So I have to have room for that, because right now I'm rewatching Comic Book Men for the 3rd time, and I love it. But
I can say with absolute confidence that season 1 of Altered Carbon is the best. This is strictly my opinion and preference, but it is the best season of a show I've ever seen.
Now that comes out of BBC, right? That's a British show.
No, that's a Netflix original. That's the one.
Oh, is it really?
Starring Joel Kinnaman.
Oh, right.
You might be thinking of the wrong thing. Altered Carbon.
No,
yeah.
No, yeah. I know Joel Kinnaman. He's
and Anthony
right.
Mackie's going to be the lead.
Yes.
In season 2.
How so that is good then. So I
yeah.
definitely should check that out. I have had. You're not the only one who's told me to watch that show.
So as a sci-fi fan, like my favorite genre is sci-fi. Just watch it, man. It's incredible.
No, yeah.
You want
I'll
to
give it
talk about a good story and stuff? Just watch that.
So The Boys was really good. I really liked it. I knew nothing, dude. And I feel weird because, like, somebody asked me the other day, like, I thought you were into comics. I am. Really heavy. Never heard of The Boys. Like, I didn't.
Yeah, and I'm glad you and I are both like this. I don't pretend to know stuff I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't read The Boys beforehand.
I didn't know what the fuck it was. Apparently, it came out, like, years ago.
Well, I did like everybody else. After I watched the show and I loved it, I went to go buy the first volume of the books.
Well, I think it was 2011 was when it was when the books, like, came out when it was still going. It was like The Walking Dead. I didn't realize The Walking Dead had started back in 2002. You know what I mean?
You know what The Boys reminded me of? You know that movie The Losers?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that.
It did kind of. Yeah, that's the feeling that I had when I was going into it, for sure.
And like, Homelander just stole the show. I know he's completely evil and twisted.
I will say that, and again, I loved it. If I had to give it a grade right now, just off season 1, I'd give it a 7. I think that. Yeah, just because it was very, very everybody. I probably got 10 text messages the day it dropped saying, you got to go home and watch it. You got to, different people telling me to watch it.
I don't want to sound like stereotypical, but that show's a 10 out of 10 for me.
And that's fine. Again,
Flawless.
it's all to each his own. I'm just saying that it didn't live up to the hype in a way that there were several episodes where I had big reactions and were like glued to the TV. I binged it all in one day. It was only 8 episodes, so it wasn't
to counter, obviously, it did live up to the hype because it is now the most watched Amazon series.
Well, right, but
ever.
what I'm saying is that, like, I get really frustrated because people put this, like, instill this, it's going to blow your mind every second of every, and it can't live up. It's impossible to live up to that.
Oh, well, if you go into it with something like that, then sure. Well, but I think it told a great story. Like,
right.
The season was really about the characters, which I thought was crazy because the show's very outlandish. It's
I think
wacky.
The only thing that knocks it down for me is there were some parts that were just slow. Like some random parts.
Yeah.
Some random parts where you're just like, all right, what are we doing? Like,
when Carl Urban killed guys with a baby using the laser eyes.
That shit was
I remember
dope.
seeing that in the trailer before.
So, and that's one of the things that really hooks you in every time is, especially if you are at a moment where you're like, this is kind of slow, all of a sudden something really fucked will happen. And you're like, holy shit, I'm back.
All I know is that Disney should use The Boys as rationale to not bump Deadpool down from R to PG-13.
All right, so
but hold on, let me finish this point real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So The Boys, along with Deadpool, it's just proven. It's a niche. People like the hard R. They really do. They appreciate the PG and PG-13. That's obvious. But the hard R sells, man. People love it.
Right.
I'm a big fan of it. I'm not saying you have to be vulgar for it to be good. That's not what I'm saying at all. But sometimes it just works. And for me, The Boys was like in that arena where it's like funny, just uber violent.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes just for no reason, like just obnoxiously violent, and but also very smartly done. I don't know. It's awesome. It's not for everybody.
I was just reading an interview with the director of Deadpool 2. Was it the same guy who did 1 and 2?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
It was the director who did Deadpool 2.
Tim Miller did the first one.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And then...
Oh, maybe it was him then, because that name sounds... I don't know. I need to start paying more attention to things. But it was basically this interview where he was saying that, you know, we made this movie and we could have absolutely done it PG-13, and I guarantee that people would have loved it. Yeah. And I was interested.
Oh, yeah, where he said I can see where we can make it work.
Yeah, he basically was just saying, he's like, guys, you know, it's not as far off as you think. It's just less saying fuck, and it's...
They've already tested the water when they did the PG-13 theatrical
and it
release.
Didn't go over as well.
Well, it didn't go over that bad either.
No, it didn't. It didn't. But it didn't. I specifically remember watching reports of that movie not doing nearly as well as it projected.
But they sold it as like, hey, this is just like a shtick. Like, it's the holidays. We're just going to release one that you could take your kids to. I thought
the smartest move they did for that was not only the holidays, but they put Fred Savage.
Yeah.
And they did it kind of like... Because he was the kid from...
Wonder Years.
Princess Bride, and they did it just like he was being read the Princess Bride again, so that's really great.
I just think they're gonna, and I have a feeling they're gonna do it. If I'm 100% honest, I think they're gonna do it. They're gonna bump them down to PG-13.
I can't lie, dude. I really love the moments that like are so fucked up that you just like cringe in like it's a weird joy receptor, right? Like somebody dies in a really brutal way. It's funny, it's great. I don't want that to go away. So I don't necessarily care if they never say a swear word. I think that's all in the writing. But if you can't give me the like really shocking, like crazy Deadpool kills, I think that I'm kind of out.
I've always been a fan of the idea. I'm not saying this is my original idea, but I've always been a fan of the idea that Deadpool stays in his R-rated universe alone, but let him cameo in the MCU.
That's the only thing that I'm not willing to concede, though. So like, I would give it PG-13 because I really want him to interact with Spider-Man and Wolverine.
I don't want him part of the MCU. See, that's where we differ. I don't want him in the MCU. But here's what I do want.
Him and Wolverine together are fucking hilarious.
I want him to like cameo in the movies, and I want him to go to say like any cuss word, and he's censored when he's in an MCU movie. And then he's like, yo, what the... And it's like... And he's like, what the...
Breaking
what's going on? You know. Like, it'd be hilarious. Like, and that's just a funny...
Disney,
At the same time, he'd actually be breaking the fourth wall. Yeah. Because he's like, yo, this doesn't happen in my movies.
But, and again, we've said it before. Everything's in the writing. I think that there's definitely a smart way to write it and keep it PG-13.
And then to close with the Deadpool stuff, for me at least, 100% honest, I didn't think Deadpool 1 was a great movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really didn't. I love Deadpool. The movie's fine. I've seen it like 100 times. Yeah. I didn't think it was that great. It grew on me over time.
Yeah.
But both movies I left the same way after the first time. 2 I didn't really like at all.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's something about them where I'm just like, it's not that good. It's really not that good.
I hold both in the same reverence. I think they're both equally great, and I love them both. Number 2 is just great to me because of how many excess, like, references are packed into it, and I love it.
2 just had like some legitimate cringy moments for me where I'm like, oh god,
that's
it's like for real. Like it's like and there it's like a real part of the dialogue, not meant to be funny, and I'm like, oh god.
That's interesting to hear you say. I really loved it. I enjoyed it. But again, to each his own, man. It's not a big deal if you didn't love it. You didn't love it.
It's all good. I've seen them both many times.
I mean, you and me have pretty different opinions on Endgame and how soul crushing and important that movie was.
That got better for me across multiple.
Really?
Yeah. I watched it the second time, and I think it had a lot to do with having a better perspective. I was in the front row of the theater the first time I saw it. Second time, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Third time, it was incredible. Watched it like 3 more times. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, great. Cool. So Matt, what do you think about doing a quick ad read? You want to do an ad read?
The ad reads.
Ad read. Sorry, guys. We're going to do an ad read. Hey everybody, what's going on? Me and Matt really do hope that you love the Bat in the Hat podcast, but did you know that you can actually get paid just for listening to this podcast? I know it sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards at places like Amazon or Starbucks. Or if you're a good human being, you could even donate that Podcoin to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn.
So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code just for you. Simply use our code BATINTHEHAT, and you'll get 300 Podcoin. Podcoins? Podcoin. Just for signing up. And if you listen to enough of us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or maybe even an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead. Go listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin. Sign up with code BATINTHEHAT. I swear, it's going to change the way you listen to your podcast forever.
Oh, Matt, I tell you what, that was one of your all-time best ad reads. Truly, truly spectacular, bud.
Yeah, I felt like I didn't even do it. It's just so fluid.
It just happens at this point. It
Yep.
just comes out. It's just
So,
natural.
Are we getting into the meat and potatoes of the show?
Yeah, man. We're done with the news. We
All
talked
right.
about the news. Let's talk about Mr. Kevin Smith a little more.
All right.
So we're going to kind of go in order, and you're going to give me a yay or nay or haven't seen, all right?
And this is the Paul Blart, King of Queens.
Yes, same
Grown
guy.
Ups 1 and 2.
Yeah, same guy.
Okay.
Adam Sandler's best friend.
Right.
Yeah, so first movie he directed was in 1994. Now, I'm going to spend a little more time talking about this movie. It was called Clerks. Have you heard of it?
I have.
It's a really fantastic movie. Again, it's the first Kevin Smith movie I've ever seen. And what's really amazing about it is he not only sold his entire comic book collection, everything he had, like collectibles, comic books, stuff like that, but he maxed out 5 credit cards just to be able to rent the equipment to make this movie, which I think is just really kind of inspiring. Like like he put it all on the line.
Yeah, I always have a profound respect for people like that. They have their passion or their
Right.
dream, and they're like, I don't care what happens. I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like, I always appreciate it more when it's like, in reality, it would only affect them. Like, I don't necessarily like it when people have like a family to support and all that, and they're all like, well, I'm going to bank all this on this. Sometimes it works,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it looks
it's
good,
situational, but it's still admirable that somebody
Yeah.
is like, I believe in what I'm doing enough to put it on the
but
line.
you get what I'm saying. But,
And
yeah, so no, that's awesome, and obviously it worked out for him. And so, are we going through all the movies and doing like an Olympic style rating? Is that what you want to do?
kind of, yeah. Jesus, the thunder. That's loud. Yeah, so kind of. So we're going to go through the movies, just like the main ones, just his View Askew movies, and kind of just see how you liked it, and if you have any favorite moments, anything like that. And,
Sure.
And Clerks, I love. I mean, of course, my girlfriend sucked 37 dicks in a row. Try not to suck any more dick on your way to the parking lot. Hey, get back here. I love that kind of stuff.
Be here today.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. I love that.
I love how that joke transcends like every movie.
I love that the girl who accidentally gave a blowjob to the dead guy. You remember that at the end? That like,
You know, out of context, like that's such a great line for you to say just now. Oh, hey, you know the girl.
and that transcended a bunch of his movies. Like they kept referencing that, and at some point in the movie, they locked the store to go to the funeral of the girl who died mid backstroke at the YMCA, and that was in a bunch of the other movies. I love the little references he made in all the other movies that everyone just knew each other. Fucking Rick Darris and all that kind of, just really funny shit.
MCU actually just ripped off of Kevin Smith's universe.
Yeah. The View Askew universe was the original MCU.
Yeah,
It
so
really
this
was.
movie is actually the Infinity War of the Kevin Smith U, the one that's about to come out.
Next up was Mallrats, which is arguably, I think I said Clerks is my favorite because it really is, but Mallrats might be my favorite just because it was totally comic book centered. It was the first Jason Lee movie that he had put Jason Lee in. Really funny shit. Ben Affleck was Shannon, the evil
Men's Warehouse guy.
Yeah, Men's Warehouse.
Dude, the whole he did her in a very uncomfortable place. What, like the back of a Volkswagen?
like the
that
back of
is
a
probably
Volkswagen?
one of the best lines.
Shannon Doherty was in it.
Yeah.
Joey Lawrence Adams. Just really great
big stars
cast.
of that era.
What's his name from Walking Dead? Who played did you ever watch Walking Dead?
Who's the character you're referencing?
The brother from like the first season, Merle.
Well, you know that's also what's his name from?
I'm Mary Poppins, bitch. Yeah,
him.
that one.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Don't know.
It's killing me now.
Forgot.
But he was, they had him. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. What the fuck is his name? But
arguably the best part though is the guy that's trying to see the sailboat in the collage, and he's standing there for the whole movie. And then what's his name walks up. He's like, "Oh, it's a sailboat." He's like, "God damn it!"
I like when Shannon Doherty comes up and she goes, "Oh, it's a sailboat," and he goes, "Deborah," and she slaps him. Or when the kids are looking at it and they go, "It's a schooner," and he goes, "Ha ha ha, you dumb bastards. It's not a schooner, it's a sailboat." She's like, "A schooner is a sailboat, you dummy." Well, you know what? The Easter Bunny's not real.
There's so many parts in that movie like that bring me almost to tears, but
that was the
one,
first MCU Stan Lee cameo, man. The first like real Stan Lee boom.
When Silent Bob, he tries to use the grapple gun. He goes, "Fly, fat ass, fly!
Fly, fat ass, fly!"
Is that where he tries to use the Force in that movie too? And he's like, "This idiot still thinks he can use the Force."
Knock it off. I like when Jay starts going snicky, snicky, snort, and Brody kind of steps back and goes, "You see, right now he's imitating Wolverine's berserker attack with his adamantium claws." Like they took it so seriously, dude. It was great.
Fly, fat ass, fly!
I love that. They tackled things that were so bizarre. Like if you watch them today, I just watched it again because I was, I knew we were going to do this episode, so I watched a whole bunch of these movies. And like the girl who's like 15 and she's doing the research project on having sex of men with different ages. So she was having sex with men all the way up to like 40 years old, but she was only 15. And like the whole time they're talking about it, I'm like uncomfortable as fuck because I'm like, this would not be like an all right joke, I guess, in today's day and age, especially with what's going on right now. Yeah. But it was
back then though. You knew it was a joke.
So and you got to see Joey Lawrence Adams' boobs in the changing room.
Hold up, I thought you were talking about one of the Lawrence brothers the whole time, like Joey Lawrence.
Who the fuck is the Lawrence brothers?
Dude, the Heartthrob brothers. Like one was in no, that's Will Friedle. The Lawrence brothers from the Boy Meets World era. Brotherly Love. They used to be in Brother. Come on, the Lawrence brothers.
Ben and Fred Savage.
Okay, the Lawrence brothers, not the Savage brothers.
I don't know who the Lawrence brothers.
That's gonna be a big one.
Oh yeah.
All right. No, there's three of them. There's three Lawrence brothers.
Don't know who they are.
Anyways, I thought you were referencing a man. So when you said you got to see their breasts, I was like,
no, Joey Lawrence Adams, the blonde chick from Chasing Amy, which is the next movie, oddly enough.
Oh, am I supposed to be giving my feedback on any of these films yet?
Sure. How did you feel about? Let's go back to Clerks. How did you feel about?
Sucked. I hate it so much. I've never watched the whole thing in one sitting all the way through. Can't stand that movie.
You really don't like Clerks?
No, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't like Clerks at all. It's too dull for me. It's so slow. Oh, yes, there's a couple zingers. They're so few and far between. I'm just like, whatever. It's like an indie flick, and it's like, oh, this is annoying.
I love that movie.
Don't like Clerks at all.
The debate they had where about the contractors on the Death Star who died in the sequel, when they were talking about like they were just innocent. The first movie they killed a bunch of stormtroopers, but in the sequel, in The Empire Strikes Back, they killed a bunch of innocent contractors who were just rebuilding the Death Star.
Maybe I'll try to give it a go, but
I feel like you should give it one solid chance because I think you'd really appreciate it.
I've tried a few times though.
I hate to say this, like you have to be intelligent to watch this movie, but there is like an air of, you know what I mean? Like certain people.
Are you calling me stupid?
No, I'm saying if you were dumb, I wouldn't suggest you watch a movie like that
because I has the smart.
I think it has a lot of subtle humor, but I definitely think that you could enjoy that movie. But
you got to remember too, I saw Clerks 2 first.
Yeah,
and then going backwards to
Clerks.
Which
I'll give you, as much as Clerks 1 is more my favorite. Clerks 2 is definitely the funniest movie he's ever made.
Yeah. Like now, granted, Mallrats, I loved it. I still love it. It's awesome. So it's not like it was just because it was that era. It was just Clerks was just not for me.
Well, Mallrats they went to the dirt mall and found the fortune teller with the third nipple. Stan Lee.
Like the thing is, his humor is just so obscure. Like,
well, and not only that, but like being a fan of comic book men, I love Bryan Johnson and Walt Flanagan and Ming Chen and Mike Zapsik, and those are the guys. They're all really close, but Bryan Johnson and Walt Flanagan have been friends with Kevin for decades, and they're in all of his movies. Walt Flanagan had 4 different roles, or 5 or something different roles in Clerks alone. So it's fun watching these early movies and picking out his friends who you now are just nerdy enough to know who they are, and being like, oh, that's the role they play, because you know that they were going to be in the movie at some point.
Right.
But how'd you feel? So Mallrats you liked. What?
Yep.
So Chasing Amy is really the next movie. How'd you feel about Chasing Amy?
That one is probably one of my favorite ones.
I do love Chasing Amy.
I
hated it as a kid.
It was so weird because, like, when I saw Chasing Amy, it was like, of course, like years and years and years after it was out.
Right.
I had already seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I had already seen Mallrats, blah, blah, blah. I think Clerks 2 was out at the time. You know, half dozen here, 6 in the other hand, doesn't really matter. But I saw Chasing Amy. It was on Netflix, and then I was like, oh, that's like the whole cast of everything else. That's a Kevin Smith movie. And I loved it. And it was like more of a rom-com. Like,
it was great. It had
it was awesome.
It was definitely less of the, like, extremely goofy movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not the norm.
It had more serious tones to it. It kind of breaks your heart by the end of it. Ben Affleck, I think, is great. Jason Lee is really great. Joey Lawrence Adams, really great. I love at the beginning when I don't remember the actor's name, but he plays the gay black comic book writer, and he has his own. He had a series out. It was called like Cracker Hating something. I don't know, but it was basically a guy who like hunts racist white people and kills. I loved it. It was so funny. But he said something about, he was talking about how Darth Vader is the most racist character in all of history, and he's talking about how. He's like, Darth Vader, biggest, darkest, blackest brother in the galaxy, a Nubian god. And Jason Lee stands up and goes, what's a Nubian? Shut the fuck up.
I love
what's
it.
What's a Nubian? Bitch, you almost made me laugh.
when they have these debates in the movies and stuff, like, to me, it's not, that wasn't, I mean, of course it was scripted for the movie, but like, I feel like it was real conversation they had outside of the movie.
It feels like something like you would sit around and talk about.
Like, it was so easy for them to write because they already had the conversation.
He does that in almost all of his movies where there's like some sort of like debate about a fictional character, and I really do love that kind of thing.
But Chasing Amy was great. I think for me the reason I like it so much is because it's just a different dynamic of those characters. It's a different kind of movie. And it's still funny. Like, obviously, with the line that you just recited, it's hilarious. But like, it's not meant to be just strictly a goofy comedy. There's deeper meaning to it and stuff. It's pretty.
So
good.
Speaking of, the next movie is actually probably my least favorite that he's made, and it is Dogma. I'm not a big fan of Dogma.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched that all the way through either.
And again, it's not like it's a bad movie by any means, but it is just the fact that. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I just haven't seen it in a while. It's been years since I've seen it.
Because now
that I'm starting to think back on it, I'm like, wow, there were some really great moments. But you know, it is very heavy-handed in the, and it may just be because when I was growing up, it was very taboo. Like we couldn't talk about that in front of our parents because if they knew that we had seen a movie like that, they would have beaten the shit out of us.
Well, I think the concept is great, like the concept of the story. But that was another one that came out when I was like younger. So I'm like, did I really just not get it? Like, was the humor not funny to me then?
It may be something I need to watch again. I do remember liking it enough. I don't hate that movie. That being said, I don't really hate anything he's ever done. But I do remember Buddy Christ and the Jesus that's like smiling and pointing at you. Oh. And the cardinal called him Buddy
that is
Christ.
Where that's from.
That's very funny. I just remembered that.
But Dogma's one, again, I haven't even watched all the way through.
I should watch that soon just to try it again. Everyone's, or most people's favorite, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That's what most people know Jay and Silent Bob from.
This one is the OG for me.
What a great premise, you know? Like,
it's hilarious.
You had seen in previous movies Blunt Man and Chronic, because that was what they wrote in Chasing Amy. That's what they talked about, was Blunt Man and Chronic. They didn't want to do it anymore. So you already have that established. So in this movie, it's being made into a feature film.
Yeah.
And Jay and Silent Bob have to travel to Hollywood.
First time those characters were the stars of any film, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Because if that's the first one you ever saw, like for me, you think, oh, all the movies are about them.
They're
very side
I can
characters.
imagine it would be jarring if you had never seen another one, because then you're watching the rest of them being like, There's not enough Jay and
Yeah, they're
Silent
not
Bob.
in this at all.
And but very funny. Shannon Elizabeth was in it. She
littered
was
with cameos. This movie is just
Will
absolutely
Ferrell
littered with
was
cameos.
really fantastic. Just like you said, I won't even try to name them all because it was littered with cameos. Not as much as the new reboot's going to be, apparently.
I like how Ben Affleck played multiple cameos.
Yes. Well, he played all of his original characters except for Shannon from Mallrats.
When they did Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season, that was insane.
That is
like
one of my favorite scenes in television history. But not only that, you know what I really love about it is that movie now intersects, and that movie is canon in the Scream universe. And that is
that's right. They go to
that right. So that is because in Scream 2 or 3, one of them. In one of those movies, in one of the Scream movies, Jay and Silent Bob make a cameo.
Oh, God.
And they're on the Hollywood lot because at the same time, they're supposedly trying to stop their own film while people are being murdered in this Hollywood.
I love, like, in that movie specifically, like, when they're talking about Miramax.
Right.
They're like, oh, they're probably going to cast Ben Affleck or Matt Damon. Ooh, the piano.
And all of his movies were picked up by Miramax, too.
Yep. Because that was Wes Craven that was in the movie, right? Was that Wes Craven, the Scream
Wes
director?
Craven is who made Scream, right?
Yeah, because he's in the movie, and he's like... Huh?
He's in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
Yeah, he's sitting in the director's chair when they go on the set.
For Good Will Hunting?
No, for when they go to...
Oh, the lights are flickering. It's okay. We're running on battery power. Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay.
The power's going to go out, but it's okay.
So anyways, when they go on the Scream, what's implied to be the Scream set in the movie, and of course Shannon Doherty's there, and then they reveal that the killer is a chimpanzee
right
under the mask. That's Wes Craven that's like in the director's chair.
Right, you're right. I thought you meant on the Good Will Hunting, but it was Steven Spielberg.
No, but that dude, when he goes, how do you like them apples? And then when they turn around and Ben Affleck goes, I don't know about those apples, Will.
I don't, them apples don't look too good there.
Applesauce, bitch.
Applesauce. Oh my God.
But Jason Biggs and oh boy from Dawson's Creek, because he goes, fuck you, Pacey. Damn, what's it? Vanderbeek. Those two,
yeah,
when they
James
do
Vanderbeek.
that whole sequence is hilarious.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. So not only did they go on the Scream set, but in Scream 3, they made a cameo because it was all supposed to be happening at the same time.
That's awesome.
And that's really, really funny stuff. The man, I forgot about that too.
Well,
but
you got to think too, like there's so many that you forget about. Probably some of the biggest cameos, like Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher was the nun.
George Carlin, is it George Carlin?
George Carlin was the guy hitchhiking and
teaches them the book of the road, unwritten book of the road.
I love that. I live my life by the book.
Really? Okay. Well, Mark Hamill, Cockknocker.
Of course, was Cockknocker, right?
I mean, they just got
so when
people.
Mark Hamill was signed on, he only did it because Carrie Fisher had already agreed.
Yeah.
And he had no idea who Kevin Smith was at the time. Because again, Kevin Smith hadn't made himself the icon in pop culture that he is now.
Right.
And so he was like, "What movie do they want me to do?"
Which is crazy to think because look at the scale of that film, like with all the people that are in it.
And you got to think that movie really also helped project him to that status. I mean, it really.
It's a funny ass movie, dude. Like it is hilarious.
If you can say anything about Kevin Smith, because again, he's kind of the stuff that I've always wanted to be. He's a writer. He's a filmmaker. He's a director. He is just a pop culture.
Hockey jerseys.
He gets to spend.
I
would love to spend all my days in hockey jerseys, but
and
he gets to spend his life. Revolving, doing so many different things, not just one thing. Yeah. So many different things in pop culture and in comics, and that's all I've ever really wanted to do.
And gets paid a ridiculous amount of money to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy.
But it's good for him, man. He really cracked the code of how to make that life live his best life.
And I gotta say too, when Jay and Silent Bob came out, like Shannon Elizabeth was in a real high in her career. She was the chick from American Pie 1 and 2. She was in this movie. Yeah. She was probably in other stuff that I can't think of. 13 Ghosts. Great film.
I love that movie.
I do too.
I was about to say, were you being sarcastic?
I
love 13 Ghosts.
I was like in love with Shannon Elizabeth. Like, just
yeah.
how Jay Muse was in the movie. Like, the
first time I ever saw Shannon Elizabeth was as Nadia in American Pie.
Yeah.
And I saw her boobies.
And then she was in, and then she was in Scary Movie.
Right.
She was hilarious in Scary Movie. And I think her husband's in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Who's she married to?
Well, they're divorced now. Her husband's in a lot of stuff, actually. I can't think of his name.
Okay, who was she married to?
I can't think of his name. I'd have to show him to you, but he was like in a lot of stuff. He's in all kinds of things, so he must be like friends with all these people.
Fair enough.
I forgot Chris Rock was in it.
Yeah, he was directing the Jay and Silent Bob movie.
It wasn't it Jamie Kennedy that was bringing him his coffee?
Yeah, Jamie Kennedy was his PA.
You spit in it? Huh?
I love that.
What, you got boogers in there? No booger flavor. No booger flavor.
So, all right, we got to move on from that though. Clerks 2 is, we're gonna jump ahead to Clerks 2 because that was
Clerks 2 is the alpha and the omega to me. That movie is
really great. I just watched that like 2 nights ago.
I had never been exposed to humor like that until I saw that movie, and that is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Rosario Dawson, man, how great of a performance she gave.
They're all awesome. They are all, and I love because this is another example where side characters are the stars, like how it's a revolving. Like who stars in the movie?
Right.
That's crazy.
I mean, again, what's it, the guy who played Dante Hicks and Randall Graves? I mean,
yeah,
they really were fantastic.
That was the first time you spent more. Well, I guess Clerks they starred in. I just didn't really watch Clerks.
Yeah, it's Clerks too. Like there's a reason they're the stars, but
Shut up.
Just all the jokes and all of the fantastic, like how they brought a lot of things full circle from the first movie. It really, really was a great way to bring those characters back and make them relevant at the time.
When Jay does the Buffalo Bill outside.
Yeah, the Goodbye Horses.
When Goodbye Horses is playing.
Goodbye Horses.
But what really sets it off is when Dante's fiance is like, I got a surprise for you outside. And then they go outside and he's in the middle of his Goodbye Horses. And he goes, oh, God, is that my surprise?
The donkey show, the
interspecies erotica.
Interspecies erotica, fucko.
Where's Kinky Kelly? That's Kinky Kelly.
I'm the stud.
Yeah, now that was borderline. I was like, holy shit. Like I've never seen anything
my favorite
like that.
part of that movie was Elias. I think Elias
and,
was such a perfect character to interject in there.
Yeah, but Elias was his best moments were with Randall. Like I feel like them together.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Well, not that it's any of your business, but we can't have sex yet because of pillow pants.
Yeah, because what the
fuck is pillow pants?
Lister Fiend.
It's her pussy troll.
Is that her mouth troll?
I love that hey now the GoBots are like the Kmart of the Transformers. Thank you.
That when he walks in, he's got the onion ring, and Elias is like
one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them.
That whole sequence is hilarious.
I made some super nerd puke, or I made fun of Lord of the Rings so hard I made some super nerd puke all over the counter.
Do we have cleaning supplies?
I love that. I want to make Elias clean it up. So there was a string of movies he did after that were not in the View Askew universe, but I want to talk about them anyways, just because some of them were actually really good.
I'm going to step back here because I don't know anything about these movies, so you take the lead. And
you do know about some of these.
No, I'm going to go home.
Oh, that's fine.
I'll see you later.
So I'll talk to the audience now. No, but the Zack and Miri Make a Porno was the next one he made after Clerks 2. Really fantastic movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it stars Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks. And what it basically is these down on their luck best friends who were living together. They were like, we have a last ditch effort to do something. What are we going to do? And they decide to make a porno. And it is one of the funniest, clever movies I've ever seen. And I remember seeing it in theaters in 2008 when it came out. And it was really, really fucking funny, man.
Had no idea that was a Kevin Smith movie until just now.
Yeah, Kevin Smith made that. That's what I'm saying.
I understood that reference.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to know some of these.
Oh, okay.
Right after that, in 2010, he did Cop Out with Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. And
what?
That's a Kevin Smith movie. He made that movie.
I like that movie,
and it bombed. It bombed hard.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
Not a good movie. It's one of those movies that's bad, but I would watch it again.
I've seen it multiple times.
Or not clever so much, but just an enjoyable movie. Apparently, Bruce Willis was the biggest diva and the biggest asshole on set the entire time, which he has a reputation of being. So at least he's like
consistent.
You know what I like about guys like him? They may be assholes, but he's straightforward about it. He's like he's not fake. He doesn't try to hide it. He's like, yeah, I'm Bruce fucking Willis. I can do it. And I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just saying at least he's like honest about it. He's real. He knows what he's doing.
See, I'm also a big fan of great bad movies. I think we've talked about this many
me
times.
too.
And that's one of them. Like, that's just a great bad movie.
This is going to sound really corny, but me and one of my exes, we had a thing where every week we did what's called Bad Movie Night, and we would pick like a really shitty movie that we knew was a bad movie we've probably seen before.
Have you ever seen Lockout with Guy Pearce?
I think I have, actually.
So that is one of my favorite movies of all time. And
really?
It's terrible. Like, it is so stupid.
Yeah.
It is dumb, but I love it so much. They just make you feel good sometimes. I think people sometimes just need to lighten up and just
we had some that came out of that were really good, like doing that kind of bad movie night thing, because we'd go on Netflix and just pick one that looked really awful. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'd go through 2 or 3 a night because we couldn't actually finish like a whole like where we couldn't force ourselves to sit through the movie. But there was one that we thought was going to be awful. It was a horror movie called Terrifier, and it was fucking terrifying. It was honestly one of the best indie horror movies I've ever seen, and it was this like clown-esque jester, murdering psychofuck who never says a word through the whole movie, but he like rips people in half, and like it's really bizarre. And we went into it thinking this is going to be cheesy and corny and stupid. Turned out to be one of the best horror movies we've seen in a long time. But the year after Kevin Smith made Cop Out, he made a movie that I actually love. We're going to talk about this for just a minute. It's called Red State. Have you seen Red State, Matt?
No.
So Red State was a movie that was actually based off of his buddy Scott Mosier did a documentary about the Westboro Baptist Church. And for those of you many of you, probably most of you have heard of the Westboro Baptist Church, but for those of you who haven't, they are a extremist Baptist church in Michigan maybe?
Hold on. There's like a brand new thing on Netflix now that's like about that. And
yeah.
I think it's called Red State.
Nope, probably not.
Because they're they want to make it known that it's about a conservative extremist cult or something.
Right, like, but this is about, literally, it's about like an extremist group, and they're the people who you've probably seen their protest. They protested when Sandy Hook was shot up. They protested the funerals of the children, saying that God sent the shooter and sent a lot of those really nasty things. They protest.
This is that one really, really whack church.
Yes,
that,
they protest at airports when soldiers are being brought home from overseas, saying
funerals.
Thank God for the soldier. Like it says, like thank God for soldiers' deaths or something like that, and it's really messed up. They've had the Hells Angels and other biker organizations who will bar them out of grave sites and like make a line with their bikes and whatnot. They've also had many assaults on their compound, and the police apparently in the area will not do anything about it because everyone just hates them. And I'm not saying that like that's...
Yeah, they push their luck, and I'm surprised.
I don't know how to say this diplomatically. I think it's disgusting what they do.
Yeah, I don't know how they haven't all been killed.
They genuinely have, and this is not me bashing on any religion or Christianity or whatnot. This is just me saying that this is purely an extremist group who has done some of the most vile, nastiest things in their twisted, warped beliefs and interpretations of the Bible and God's word. And even as an atheist, I can say that I don't mind anybody who's religious by any means. I'm not, obviously my whole family is religious, but they are a terrible, terrible group of people. And Kevin Smith wanted to make a movie that was kind of based off of them, really scarily based off them. And of course this is a work of fiction. You can't watch this and go like, oh, that's what they do, because we don't really know what they do behind closed doors. But what was interesting is that they came to protest his movie when it went to one of the movie festivals. I don't know if it was Sundance or Cannes or one of those, but they came to protest, and he ended up inviting them to the screening of Red State, which I think is crazy. And so they came and they started watching his movie, and the lead, it was like 7 or 8 of them from the church. They came, and then they all got up and left about 15, 20 minutes into it. And she went over to Kevin, and she said, we're leaving. We can't watch this garbage, but thank you so much for inviting us, like in a weird, like polite way. But she was like, no, this is trash. But it is a terrifying movie if you are somebody who grew up in the church. It is a very extremist, like bleak look at what warped opinions kind of can do to people. And it's really a phenomenal movie. I definitely recommend it. I like it a lot. And unfortunately, as great as that movie is, his next movie he did was not as good, and it was called Tusk. Tusk was a movie about a man who again, he says based off a true story that it was a Craigslist ad he saw. Somebody put an ad on Craigslist that they needed a live-in companion. Not somebody for sexual reasons, but he was like an old retired person, needed a live-in companion, someone to help take care of the house. He lives in a mansion. He can't do it by himself. And the only requirement was that they would have to wear a walrus suit for 2 hours a week and pretend to be his pet walrus. And it was like a thing for him. That was the Craigslist ad. This movie is about a man who goes to interview a old retired Navy man or seaman in Canada, and he gets, drugged and operated on, and he turns him into a human walrus. It is a terrible, terrible movie.
Good Lord.
It is actually phenomenal, though. You know how we were just talking about great bad movies? This is a great bad movie. And that was the first movie his daughter had, like, speaking roles in. And his daughter played a clerk behind a counter. And then the next movie he made in 2016 was Yoga Hosers. So, you guys, if you haven't seen Yoga Hosers, it's basically Clerks, but with his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter. And it's all right. It has some weird Nazi sausage creatures, and it actually has a lot of really funny moments.
Definitely haven't seen the last three.
I would say watch Yoga Hosers for sure. It's pretty funny, but those ones I knew that you wouldn't know, so I'm just kind of talking to myself.
I've heard of Tusk. Like, I know I've heard of Tusk.
Right.
I haven't seen it, but I think I also confuse it with, what's that one movie? Splice? Something called Splice?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Weird monster creature. Like, and it was like a cult. Is it like a cult? I don't know. Or Slither?
Maybe
it's
Slither.
Something like that.
That was the one where the slugs, like, infected people.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was when I hear Tusk, I think of that Slither movie for some reason.
Yeah, no. It's I would definitely suggest you guys watch Red State, though. It's a really, really fantastic movie. Watch Yoga Hosers. It's funny.
Or Blue Mountain State, the one about the college.
Watch Blue Mountain State.
If you want something a little more light,
love Blue Mountain State.
If you want something a little more lighthearted, watch Blue Mountain State.
If you love bad movies, watch Tusk. I love that movie. I mean, it really is a great bad movie. But other than that, Kevin Smith has made some really up and down movies. But to people like me, people like Matt, they just sit near and dear to us. I don't want to get super corny, but this is a person who just through him being himself has inspired me to do what I do, has inspired me to take a lot of leaps in my life and my passions that I probably wouldn't have taken otherwise. So I definitely salute him. Salute all of you who are fans as well. Matt, do you have anything to add?
Well, we should probably let everybody know that Kevin Smith will be our guest on next week's show.
I wish. Yeah. That'd be great.
That's complete fiction.
Yeah.
What I just said.
That'd be great if he ever heard of us, but
well, maybe one day. But if not, it won't change how I feel about him. I like the guy a lot.
And again, we've had such really awesome support from you guys lately. A lot of people have been getting into the conversations and the arguments, and we love every single minute of it. The minute you guys comment on something and you want to debate, we're there. I mean, we don't mind sharing our opinions, and apparently neither do you. So thank you so much for your support and continuing to listen to us and not minding our ad reads. And there was something else. Oh, me and Matt. So we were talking about it. We can't give you any details on it, but we are writing a project together, and this project is going to be completely for you guys. And
a little bit for us.
A little bit for us, yeah. But it is going to be big. So I'll just say, comic book fans, put on your hats, because we're doing something cool. We're doing something that we really can't wait to start talking about, but it is not there.
This one is, like I said earlier, it's like a passion project for us both. It's something we had, I don't want to say toyed with the idea, but that's exactly what it was.
It's something we talked about a bunch.
We literally were just like messaging each other one night, and one of us mentioned it,
that's
like
right.
This general concept, and we ran with it for like 2 hours that night.
We had like such a laundry list of ideas for this, and it never went anywhere past that. But then a couple weeks later, Matt was like, "Hey man, we should do this."
I don't want it to sound a certain way, but I genuinely feel like this idea is too good to not do something with it.
Oh, I agree.
And that's not me saying like, oh, look how smart we are. No, we want to share it with everybody. Like, that's the point. Like, we want everyone to enjoy it. But we'll table it right there. It's very near and dear to us, and hopefully once we get to that point, you guys like it too. That's the ultimate goal. We just want to share it with people that might like it like we do.
For sure. And obviously this is a much shorter episode than usual, but we haven't gotten to do the show in a couple weeks, and I really wanted to do a show, so we kind of threw this together last minute, and God, I'm just so grateful that we got to do this because, again, it's been hectic. It's kind of been crazy. I'm in the process of moving. I just changed jobs as well.
Yeah, we had to change our day for our show taping as well, so we'll get back on our. We'll be back on our bullshit.
I was just gonna say that we'll be back on our bullshit here soon.
So worry not for the 8 of you that are still listening.
Oh yeah. That's probably
so
accurate.
much.
Yeah, there's like 8 of you out there. You guys rock. But no, but that's about it, man.
Cool.
You got anything else to add, Matt?
No. This
Very
was
cool.
fun.
Well, once again, thank you guys so much. Good night, Matt's mom.
Peace.